me.
Episode 335.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great.
Host Trent,
What up?
how you doing, sir?
Doing well, no complaints.
We are having a fun time here, folks, because we are doing things a little bit different today. A little thrown off because we're doing the thing that I always thought would be pointless to do, but figured let's do it anyway. And that was to broadcast record live out to TikTok, which we're actually doing right now. So we are once again experiencing. Hi, Zach, over on Facebook. We are now. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. You have a question?
Well, no, I was just so myself being a TikTok Luddite. I thought TikTok was only like 3 seconds.
Well, okay, you have a good point. So there are many different aspects. Now, a while back, I got really lucky because... Oh, hold on. Let me set his camera up appropriately. Things are not uniform in the studio, Trent. We have not set things up appropriately. But I got real lucky with the little robot Vector, which if you're watching the YouTube stream, you can see there. I got really lucky when I did a video with the little robot there with Vector, and once we went live with him, I accumulated more than 1,000 followers really quickly. And when you have more than 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can also stream live. You can do a live. It's a low resolution video, but also because I use this iRig stream device. I'm able to take our mixed audio and then channel it into my phone, which I'm sure will die sometime during this broadcast. And we can do a live. So there are people that are watching live on TikTok. Now, the only problem is they're not getting the full experience because you would have to go to like youtube.com/netheadsonair or facebook.com/netheadsonair. And then you would be able to see when I switch over to my wonderful co-host Trent sporting his very handsome Devotion Wrestling hat.
Which you can get at prowrestlingtees.com.
Oh, I did not know that. Thank you for that, Trent.
I don't know if they have the hats there or not, but they have T-shirts there. I know that.
Speaking of hats, I have something on that, but I would have to go off camera in order to talk about it because one of the things that happened during our 2-week hiatus was that Kevin Smith had partnered up with Bobby Hundreds of the Hundreds Streetwear Company.
Yeah.
And they did a drop on clothing. Now, when they did that, because I'm a guy that knows a guy, I'm like, oh my gosh. For the longest time, and I'll show you guys, I've had a Banky hat. So it's the teal hat with the B, and on the backside, it's Snoochie Bootie's Bumpman.
Yeah.
But it's traditionally a fitted cap. Now, there have been, I believe, at least 3 generations of the cap. There was the original run. There was a second generation run. Both of those sold through the Secret Stash, Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. And the third one is this one from the Hundreds. And you know what? Here, talk to the kids for a moment, and everybody on TikTok Live. I'll be off camera for a second, but talk to the people for a moment about like what's your favorite hat and why.
Okay, yeah. So for those of you who are watching and who remember Wayne's World, I now feel like when Wayne just lets Garth take over, and then Garth is just like the whole time, and that's how I feel. My favorite hat, oh god, probably my Colorado Rockies hockey hat.
What did that have to do with Wayne's World? I had to disconnect my headphones, so I had no idea what's going on.
Do you remember in Wayne's World where Garth's the only one on camera, and he just freezes, and he's like,
Oh, okay. Thank you. That
That's
makes more sense.
like in my mind, I just saw that whole thing playing out. But yeah, my favorite hat is probably my Colorado Rockies hockey hat. They were the Rockies before they were a baseball team, and then they were sold, went to New Jersey, and became the Devils.
Gotcha. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that bit of information. So, just to tell you, I don't have a favorite hat, but I am a man of many hats.
Yeah.
I like my knockoff Heisenberg hat. I'm very fond of from the fine haberdashers at Gorin Brothers. I've got a gray. I don't even know what style cap it is, but it's kind of like in the Kangol style.
Yeah. Yes.
And then,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and then the white snapback that I got from Lids and their brand because I was doing a Kevin Smith cosplay. Those are like my 3 go-to hats. Now, these are the aforementioned Banky hats. Now, this Banky hat has been in my garage, so you'll have to excuse it. But as you can see, this is the one that's attempting to go photo accurate. And for those of you just listening to the podcast later, enjoy the visuals. So the only problem is now I ordered this in a 7.5, and I don't know how you measure your head. But basically, as you can see, we have certain fitting issues.
Yep.
Okay, 7.5. So if that, I don't know what, that measures in at. Clearly, it just,
it's not, yeah.
It may be photo accurate, but it's not, it looks more like I'm wearing a Banky yarmulke. So.
Yeah, it does kind of, yeah.
7.5, right? So when the hundreds happen and I'm given my option, I'm like, oh, well, let's just go a half size bigger and order an 8. Now this is,
dude,
this is the one by the hundreds. As you can see, it's in a forest green, not the teal.
Right.
But it still has the B in a contrasting color. Actually, it's still a relatively close color match. But it's got the B for Banky. And then it's got the Snoochie Boochie's Blunt Man inscribed on the back, just the way it should. Now, 7.5 fit like a yarmulke. So 8 seems reasonable, right?
8 is so big. 8 is ginormous, dude.
I can tuck my ears into it.
Yeah. 8 is so big. But that, I mean, that's great because I wear a lot of my hats. I wear down over my ears, mostly because my ears stick out. Thanks to my dad. It's all of us cousins have.
Wait, hold on a second. What did your dad do to you that made your ears stick out?
He progenerated me.
Oh, gotcha. I see. The whole genetic thing.
Yeah, but that's I mean, so I've got a Whalers hat that was way too big. It was a 7.75, and I threw it in the wash on hot and threw it in the dryer on hot, and now it fits pretty well. Because it was wool, so it shrank a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think both of these hats expressly say dry clean only. Now, I will say that the L&H luxury headwear, this is a very nice hat. But
it looks like a good hat.
I still don't understand why the difference between a 7.5 and an 8 is so. I mean, I can literally put the 7.5. There's no naming. There's no sizing convention for these things, right?
There's not. So I wear a 7 5/8.
Oh, okay.
And it's not. I don't think it's inches though, because and it depends on if my hair's short or if I've let it grow out a little bit longer. Then I'm like 7 5/8 is a little tight. I need a 7 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
But they are, man. The world of fitted caps is bizarre, and companies like New Era with their 5150 brands and stuff, they've even started finally making versions that are lower tops,
so
that they don't have like that stove top at the front of your forehead, but it actually comes down a little bit quicker. The camber is lower, so it actually goes along your head and doesn't stick up right at the top.
Okay.
And it looks like that hat that you've got actually does that already. It has a lower angle at the forehead, so it would actually fit better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine hat, but good golly, that's huge. So now I basically have 2 display hats.
Big. Yeah.
That's the whole point. I got 2 display hats, another for comfort. By the way, you know how I also mentioned that, Facebook or TikTok wasn't necessarily the best venue? already no viewers. People have already, they're like, forget it. I'm coming over. I'm going to go watch the full experience, which I don't blame you. So I'm just going to go ahead and if anybody is there still, sorry. But I'm going to drop this now anyway because it's too distracting and I want to get back to life the way I'm used to it. So anyway, let me just do this. Now there's no audio going to that. We'll hit the power button there to make the end now. And there we go. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We had some views and some viewers and it was nice and people followed us from it. But, you know, I'm a man that's accustomed to certain things, Trent, and certain ways. So better to not be distracted by my phone and everything else. Anyway. Yeah, so thanks for walking me down that little roadmap of hats. That's a very interesting experience. I still don't understand all of the mysteries that the world of fitted hat is, fitted hats are. But, you know, like you said, obviously 1/2, 5/8, a little bit bigger than a half, but, you know.
But bigger than you would expect.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I'm sure it's a simple research thing where you just find out that like the measurement is based on the radius or the diameter or the circumference, or not the circumference, that's the total distance around. Probably the diameter, which isn't that from the center to the outside?
Yeah. So from the tip of the crown to the seam, maybe? I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea either. I just know I don't like I'm not quite sold on the way it looks on. Zach in the chat, Zach in the back in the chat, he says it's a good look, but now I can't even put it on because I'm looking at the camera.
You know what they say, though, about people with big heads?
Big earmuffs.
I was gonna say big brains, but
yeah, big hats. Or overly big hats. But anyway, that was an interesting experience too, because that launched at midnight or 9 p.m. Eastern time or 9 p.m. Pacific time, and then just got completely decimated. Apparently, streetwear sells goddamn fast, so much so that when the Stash launched their stash online of the hundreds wear that we had allocated to be able to buy or to sell to people as well, even before we made the announcement, there were people that must have been watching it like a hawk because things went out of stock like that. It's just insane. I just don't understand the world of streetwear. But anyway, neither here nor there. Sorry, I don't know why we went down on a hat journey on this wonderful experience here, but you know,
nice job, Cap.
Thank you, Bucky. Trent, I don't know. As I've said, I don't know what's been going on in your world lately.
Right.
Actually, that's not true. I do know about one thing, so we may as well talk about this because you know, apparently, in some circles, Trent, you and I are sheep. We're followers. We're easily controlled.
Yeah, absolutely. In a lot of ways, I am.
Well, I'm glad you admit it. Obviously, you've been putting up with podcasting with me for more than 10 years.
Like I will subscribe to almost anyone's OnlyFans account if they'll just like say hi to me and be like, "Oh, hi, cutie." And I don't know, you know, she copied and pasted it, I'm sure, but she won me over, you know.
By the way, speaking of technology and annoyance and subscriptions, I don't know if somebody signed me up for something out of spite, but I have been getting an inordinate amount of spam text messages on my phone, which I thought was illegal.
Nope. And I know for a fact it's not.
And how is that?
I have an acquaintance who works in this industry, and it is legal as long as each text is sent by a human hand.
So that's the rub. Somebody has to be now. But what is that? But what is the definition of sending it by human hand? Does that just mean can I just hit commit on a list?
No. Each one has to be sent by someone, by a human being.
Gotcha. Okay, understood. Because now most places don't charge you per text unless you're like you have a pay-as-you-go account like my mom does for her cell phone, so she like get charged for everything. I'm gonna let you field a question for the chat, by the way, and this one's from Michelle Kuzo, who asks, this might be a dumb question, Trent, but what exactly is an OnlyFans?
And great question, Michelle. OnlyFans is not unlike Patreon, but for people working in the self-promotive sex industry.
Okay. So basically, if you have an OnlyFans, there's going to be some expectation of some type of titillation, is what you're saying.
I mean, maybe, who knows? You know, maybe you're there to support their art.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that succinct description. Basically, if you're a person that likes to sell your sexuality in some way, shape, or form, whether it's artistically or the like, it's basically a subscription channel that you could spin up in order to get other people to subscribe to your offerings, if you will, with somewhat of an adult expectation. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, post third wave feminism.
Yes. There you go. Yes. Hashtag feminism. Hashtag now. Sorry. I don't know why I just, well, you know, stealing good things from John Oliver, because why not? Wait, we were about to talk about, the things that I know about in our lives, Trent. We're followers, we're sheep, because yesterday, and I'm interested to hear the contrast here. Yesterday, I got my second Pfizer vaccination. As a matter of fact, we are officially in 4 minutes at 27 hours after the shot. Now, I bring up this point specifically because you've heard a lot of people saying things online, whether directly or indirectly in their experience, that after the second shot, for those that get a dual dose vaccination method, Moderna or Pfizer, that they experience flu-like symptoms in that like 24 hours after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I personally think this is just now I'm a firm believer that it affects everyone differently. I have had the second shot, and honestly, I feel no different than I did before. This is any old day for me. Now, I did happen to mention this to you yesterday, because we were planning today, and I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna be honest, I got the second shot, so I fully intend to broadcast with you tomorrow, but I can't guarantee it, right?
Yeah.
At which point you did counter saying, well, you did get your shot. Now, what was your particular shot of choice, sir?
Yeah, so I got mine at my workplace. They had a clinic on there because there's so many people there. They can just open it up and let people get in. However, it was hard getting on the list because they would do 1,000 at a time for the signing up, and within minutes it was always full. But I was able to get in through some strings pulled by some colleagues, and it was easy, man. Went in there, got it. I was out the door. They didn't even ask me to wait the 15 minutes. I was, just in and out. Hope I don't get them in trouble for that. And I mean, I did wait the 15 minutes, and it was everything was fine. But and I didn't feel anything. My arm was a little sore, which is, funny because it's dumb. It's the smallest like needle prick ever, and my arm is sore. But it was, and I was just fine until I got the shot at 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. I mean, I'm normally like awake until 2 a.m. every single night, regardless. And I was out, man. I was asleep on the couch by midnight. And then I woke up on Sunday morning.
Holy moly. That's some distance, my friend.
My ass. And mostly it was just like a killer headache. I just had an awful headache. And then I was just fatigued to no end.
Okay. Well, that I will admit that it's hard for me to determine if that's what happened after my first shot, because I think there is a certain threshold I have crossed, Trent, and now my body is incapable of sustaining the proper amount of melatonin or what have you, but, I begrudgingly will wake up way before my alarm and attempt to go back to sleep and lose those arguments. So I don't know if it was the shot or not, especially since, again, I got mine the first one was on a Wednesday, and then it was, I was exhausted the whole way through, never experienced a headache, but the Saturday afterwards, which is like 3 days, I just was inexplicably napping throughout the day and unable to get motivated or get up.
Yeah, like I know like lethargy is always like a symptom that you see with like drugs or whatever. And I always kind of blow it off like story of my life. But they're like when it hits you like actual like, or as the Brits say, lethargy, man, there is like no amount of like guilt that can motivate you to, because that's how I normally operate by anything. I won't do anything unless I feel guilty about it, which thanks to my Mormon upbringing is pretty much everything.
It's interesting to hear the parallels between Catholicism and Mormonism now.
Oh, dude, they are so alike in the term of like guilt, except confession is not private in the Mormon church. It's public.
Oh.
Well, public meaning like it's you and whoever the ecclesiastical leader that was chosen.
And they're free to go ahead and spread it about the community, because that's what you're making it sound like.
I mean, they're not supposed to, but you know, if you're deemed unworthy to participate in like the sacrament, like the Mormon version of Mass, it's pretty public. People see you not partaking, and you, oh, he was in the bishop's office earlier today.
By the way, I just got to point out something I'm laughing about. And this is the great thing about catching the show live, if you're able to, guys, which I swear we're going to try and really have a schedule to this. But I do dig the fact that we got to do it so early, because there is some participation that can happen from the East Coast. But anyway, some of the fun stuff is the interaction that happens live, because I too get, I've always said, you know, I avoid the Twitter because I get distracted by it, which is the same thing that goes on here in Command Central with OBS, because I can see all the chat going on. And Zach just pointed out a funny thing, because the way I said it, and something I said, you know, yesterday too, when I posted a tweet about it, and like, I'll tell you if I feel anything. And then I was going to make a joke today that Zach played very well in the chat as well, because Will has no feelings, because I said I feel nothing, which is true. I feel nothing, but you know, it sounds bad.
So what you're telling me is the vaccine made you dead inside.
Yes. Well, I mean, not really. I was there before. I'm just kidding.
2020 did that before.
So getting back to it, Trent, because I'm famous for derailing us, and then we never get back to the point. You were extremely exhausted, because no matter what what motivated guilt you could drum up for yourself, you was not getting up.
No, and it was like everyone in my office that got the shot experienced the exact same thing. And so we were like speculating, like, as an organization, you should probably only schedule these for Fridays then.
Oh yeah, exactly. That was and that's the thing. The perception of what happens in regards to the potential reactions to the different shots that you get. I mean, like, I myself, I'm like, I'm doing this, you know, this day, and, you know, we'll play Thursday by ear, and I was just being precautionary. But, you know, in some cases, it's like I've had another coworker. He's like, well, you know, I plan on being here, but I am getting my second shot on the 4th. So, you know, it is something that really, if a company is the one that is sponsoring your initiative to get it, it should definitely be encouraged productivity-wise at a minimum.
Yeah,
for Fridays.
And luckily, I did get it on a Friday, but man, the poor saps that got it on a Wednesday. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like now you've got to burn your PTO because you're trying to do something good for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, that's my stance on it. By the way, in Rick and Morty, I think, I don't know if it was from the season before, I believe, where they answered the literal call to adventure, or is in the first part of season 7. I don't remember which now. Or I don't even know what season we're in. I'm so lost. Anyway, but you remember the one, because there was like Man of 1,000 Ants, 1,000 Ant Man or something.
Yeah.
1 million ants, and then there was
these ants everywhere.
And but what was the name of the guy who you know, his parents died in a tragic train accident, but he had an enchanted train whistle to summon a ghost train?
That's right.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Because right now Zach's making me feel like that guy, because he just called me in the chat Will D-Rail, so Will Derail Wilkins.
Oh, see, and when you wear your hat backwards, that's your hip hop alter ego.
Oh, now
Will Derail.
This has become a thing, guys. This is how comedy bits never get written. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. I just blew out the mic laughing.
No, you didn't. It was just wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, anyway, folks, please still do get, if you have the opportunity, please take advantage of it. If look, as I said to my wife, because, you know, we see in social media a lot of the back and forth banter that can occur on it really feels like political bias now. There are different perceptions of the vaccine, and what I'm saying is my wife and I are aware of it, and we see this. But here was my hot take, in the likelihood that it's not being used to track me or to put a chip in me or to start initiating a giant fertility crisis or whatever, okay?
Well, that's awesome. If it made us all sterile, at least me, I'd be up for that.
How did I get a picture-in-picture there? That was awesome for a second. Sorry about that. What I was telling Denise in the car is like, there may be complications, but in the most basic of scenarios, we got one shot at this thing that we're all living right now.
Yep.
And I'll be goddamned if I'm not going to do whatever I can to guarantee, to the point where I really have not been going out. I have been taking this all very seriously because I don't even want to have a 0.0001% chance that I'm going to spend my moments walking out the fucking door of life on a ventilator after having a Zoom call to say goodbye to my family, which is a very real scenario that people have experienced. I'm not going through that. So if you want to know my motivation, it is not liberal. It is not conservative. It is fucking life. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on a soapbox there.
Oh, yeah, but dude, and it's crazy because the week I got my vaccination, a very good friend of mine died from COVID.
Oh, I remember seeing a post that you had posted. It was basically somebody saying that they had to say goodbye, and you're like, please don't be like, or please don't, for the love of goodness, do what's right. Is what you essentially said.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was. How do I put this? It was interesting because my friend's fiance. She started a GoFundMe to help pay for stuff. I jumped right in, and then she was giving us daily just updates on what was going on, how it was going, and like it sucks that it took that kind of familiarity with a case for me to get invested in what the process is like, what someone's going through. But man, I just poor guy. I can't think of a word literally there are obviously, being lit on fire would maybe be the worst way to go. But
I'm with you there.
Slowly having your kidneys shut down and then being on dialysis with a ventilator and in a medically induced coma for the last 2 weeks of your life sounds pretty awful.
That's exactly my point, my friend. Exactly my point. Again, not meaning to get on any type of soapbox, but just, I mean, it has been computer. How many days has it been since March 16th, 2020?
Monday, March 16th, 2020 was 408 days ago.
408 days of this! Do I have to put a finer point on it? Anyway. Wow.
On the plus side, though, Will, I will say I really think a huge contributor to my my lessening of mass, a lot of it has to do with not eating out.
Dude, until I have probably spent more than one child's college education on DoorDash services just to get out of cooking, that is the reason why I can say I have effectively maintained during all this.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm doing something to bring some variety in, but I'm still trying to make the choices that align with what I should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I've maintained, which, for me, at least maintaining at a point, I don't know, 70 some odd pounds lower than my high. Yeah, it's probably a number that's a little more than that. Being able to still stay at this level is an accomplishment. Not that I'm trying to get a pat on the back, but yeah, and I keep saying that every time. The thing that most people don't hear is the pre-show banter that quickly happens between Trent and I. And like the one thing I keep saying is just like, my God, I don't think I've seen you look better. And I apologize. That's not in any way a judgment, but I mean, you look. It's not that you look. You just look healthier, is what I'm trying to say.
And I feel better too. I've got way more energy than I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, and isn't it nice when you actually look forward to being able to get out on a walk with the dog?
Dude, rather than that, rather than knowing that it's going to be hard and miserable, you're just like, oh, I get to enjoy this now.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, like my, there's always in corporate America, there's always like these check-in phone calls you have as the chain goes up. And like, I was encouraged, like, go ahead, walk the dog. Let's just walk and talk on this, just like we would if we were in an office trying to get away from our desks for a while and have a conversation. And it's made it now a part of a routine where not only am I a better dog owner because I'm actually walking the dog, but I also enjoy it because I'm not breathing like James Gandolfini in the later seasons of The Sopranos. You know what I'm saying?
So funny, dude. The sound engineers had to have just been like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life on stage. They're just like, oh my God, the mouth noises.
But yeah, for the people that have the sensitivity to the sound of people chewing, that must be a particular hell.
God.
See, folks, if we had a plan, we never would have taken this journey.
No.
Not once. Sorry. Well, we just like hopped from we went from laughing into serious, and now it's like I'm trying to understand whether we can actually take this exit now or if I already missed that opportunity and made it weird, because now I got to get off at the next exit in some part of really out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm either going under that freeway and I'm not immediately getting back on, and I'm going some 20 miles inland. I mean, it's almost like you're hosting some type of professional audio product and then you just start meandering and you're wondering if people are still even listening, which is what I'm doing right now.
Well, if you don't get off in Bayonne, you're going through the Holland Tunnel, dude.
See, you know what I'm talking about, man. You're feeling it.
I do.
So I do have to ask the one thing I don't know. The biggest thing that's kind of happened in our nerdy world has been the season finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And so my big thing is I don't know, but God, I'm hopeful. I mean, like, I right now in the back of my head, there's just like hum num rikyo, hum num rikyo, hum num rikyo. I'm just hoping and praying the answer to the question is yes. Have you seen it?
No, that's what I'm doing this weekend, is watching it. Yeah, I got to delay that gratification for all at once. Wham bam, thank you. Gender yet to be determined.
I understand, man. I understand, but I mean, can I just talk about things in a non-spoilery way? Okay, well, first of all,
if you want, I live in a post-spoiler world.
There is no way you're walking God's green earth and familiar with the MCU to not have been even tuned in that if we have a concept of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier where Sam somehow has not accepted the mantle of Captain America, the eventuality of that journey,
yes,
he assumes the mantle of Captain America.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, and these are the moments my wife is just like, it's TV, okay? And I acknowledge that, honey. I love you. Every single moment that Sam was in that outfit, as we see it in the show, every single scene, and mind you, they not only tease it, but then they give you a flash before he comes in for a bigger reveal. And in that moment, it is, when you see it, the only thing I will say to help build your anticipation for this moment, Trent, is you got to watch out for that flash, because yes, I literally did a frame store of it. and it literally looks like a comic panel writ large.
Oh, perfect. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, there are moments that I look forward to in the MCU movies, and one of them, when they're done right, is what I always refer to as the splash page moment.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because it is taking advantage of both pages of the comic, and they are putting every metric Marvel ton they can into every square inch of that image.
Yeah, the Thanos battlefield comes to mind, right? Where you've got both sides ready to collide, and it's that big wide shot. That is the center staple of the comic book, right? That just taking advantage of that full bleed across the page.
So much of it. And the good news is this obviously pays tribute to that as well in its own ways. I think you're going to be very happy with it. I think that the only thing that I will say going into it as well that I think is a little helpful is that there are elements. Obviously, it was one of the first productions impacted by the pandemic.
Right.
And there were certain themes in it that at the time nobody knew would become a little too real compared to the real world.
Okay.
So they had to have that story element lifted out. And then there was completing this in a COVID world. You know what I mean? So,
wow. So like plot was affected by real world events.
Yeah. Now, well, we've learned, because there's also a great interview on Fat Man Beyond with Matt Shackman, where director of it, or I think that's his name. And, he basically goes into all the ways that production was impacted because of the pandemic. And so there are certain elements and certain storylines that they didn't get to have, or certain people they didn't have on certain days for reshoots. So,
right.
Like literally at the end when Darcy, we see her in the van, and then there's another scene where Monica is basically saying, yeah, she said debriefs aren't her scene, which really just says we couldn't get her back for
yeah, but we have to acknowledge why she's not here.
Yeah.
So write that in. Gosh, man, that is but again, like I was thinking about this just the other day. Were I to work in the in the film / television world, I think I would prefer television so much more because the pace is so much faster, and like it's look, we don't get to schedule reshoots. This is the time we've got. We don't get to go to the producers for more money. This is all we've got. So I think I would prefer that. Even just in any aspect of any job, I would want something a little more fast paced and less perfection driven, I guess is the right way to say it.
Well, after seeing the final product of WandaVision, I think that I actually felt very little in the final product that there was anything that was directly affected by the pandemic.
With WandaVision, they had, was it just 2 episodes they had to do post-COVID?
I don't know. I don't know the numbers.
Like midway through, though, but you couldn't tell, right? At least when you were watching it, like there wasn't like an abrupt like change in like production. Like it all was congruent throughout the whole. Right.
Now, I do feel bad, though, because I've kind of introduced the concept that there are certain elements to the narrative or to what we're seeing that I'm qualifying as saying, if you run into these elements, it's, that's the reason why. Because, there are certain, like, overall, I think when it comes to the villains, people are like, we really didn't understand what their motivation was. That kind of thing.
Right.
But that's all I'll say about it, because I, want you to be at, even if I even find out that about an episode of TV I'm about to watch, if there's any hint on the internet that there's any type of big moment in it, it's ruined viewing it for me, because I'm spending the entire thing waiting for the payoff now of some big moment. So now I apologize for planting those seeds. That's what I'm trying to say. But the thing I didn't finish on is that every moment that I saw him on screen in the outfit, the uniform, I nearly wept.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And that is why I'm so happy that they're doing this. And with any IP as it ages, right? If you want to keep it contemporary, it has to like reflect aging. And Captain America is so much bigger than one person. Anyone that has read a comic book that and had it like touch them on a very like spiritual level, on an intellectual level, on any type of like emotional level, like they can understand that this mantle can be passed as long as it's with the right person or not, and then that develops other stories. But like it just shows like it's like Superman. Even if Superman wasn't Superman, if the mantle was passed on, it would still feel the same and have that same effect because it represents so much more than just one person, one actor, one race. It's humankind's greatest possibilities.
True. It's more about having the proper ideals.
Yeah, it's Cap is an aspirational character, right? For what we can all hope to become.
They even acknowledge that in this series. There will be points where they will explicitly make reference to Steve Rogers and why he was such an exception to the rule of gaining what he gained and understanding being the custodian of that.
Just hearing that gives me the freaking chills, man. Oh,
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. Like basically they constantly say, well, yeah, but that was Steve.
Yeah,
so they're acknowledging that he truly was as the first enhanced human, if you will.
Right.
He really, I mean, in many ways, I guess it would be the best parallels would be biblically to Adam, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and on top of that, you know, again, it's like no one else could have held that mantle at that point because they would have abused that power. But Steve knew what it was like to be powerless.
And that was the important part. Which, by the way, when you go back and you rewatch all these things, you start to pick up on certain moments. At like a doctor, what was his name? The one that Zolig, was he the one?
Oh,
yeah.
Played by what's his name from yes,
Tucci.
Tucci.
Stanley Tucci is the one I'm thinking of from Captain America: The First Avenger. What was he was the doc? What I'm saying, the doctor that came up with the super soldier serum and method.
Okay.
You know, he said it's not important to be a strong man, but to be a good man. And like that's the last thing he says to Steve is be a good man. And then one of the last things that I think Steve says to the Falcon, why can't I remember his name right now? Sam. One of the last things he says to Sam, I think before he fucks off in time, he says, "You're a good man, Sam," which is kind of a little foreshadowing. And there are elements in this TV show too where you can, like, structurally speaking, I respect the art they did because needless to say, in this anti-buddy comedy Marvel show, you've got an eventual moment where somebody just flat out says, we're doing this, and after that, F off. If I ever see you again. So there's got to be a payoff moment down the line that is the exact opposite of that. It's like we are close now. We are friend.
Yeah.
We are Groot.
Yeah. Oh. You can make me cry with just 2 words. 3.
Very nice. Yeah, because I am Groot. That is 3. But
we are Groot, yeah.
Oh, we are Groot. Yeah, that's the one that'll get you. And one of the things that if there's any one thing I could appreciate out of the things that Marvel has been able to do, okay, there are moments where I will be outside having to do all of the yard stuff that you do, and I come in and my wife is watching either one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or Thor Ragnarok.
Uh-huh.
Because they are just quality entertainment to her.
They so are, yeah.
And it's So much good stuff. Anyway, it's a divine time to be alive in some ways. To contrast the earlier vibe, you know, we get all this great entertainment, and the next thing that's coming up. Did you ever see the trailer for Loki?
Oh yes, I did. Yeah.
There was one little moment in the trailer, the full laid out one, that I had, I don't remember if somebody had said it or it's one of the things I noticed because I was freeze framed on it, but there's like the guy who's like, you know, please sign to confirm this is everything you've ever said. And he's all, this is absurd. And then another printout comes out and he's all, and this. And they do a tight shot on it. And in there, it says Loki. And then I think something along the terms of variant and then an explicit number. So as if to say there are lots of Loki variants running around through the timeline. So does that mean they're basically finding their likeliest Loki candidate to help them to deal with a multiplicity of Lokis they've got bouncing around?
Who knows? In the comics, it's happened quite a bit, and most predominantly, and I think kind of the really interesting take 5 years ago or so was the teenaged iteration of Loki, and that's the one I would love to see, because outside of Peter, MCU doesn't have any like youth, which is interesting because that's kind of, I mean, always been like the go-to in the comics is like teenage angst. There's
always some, at least there used to always be some plucky younger character. Fantastic Four had Johnny Storm.
Exactly. Yeah. And all of the X-Men were initially brought up that way, right? And so I think it would be, I would like to see that. Still, obviously, and then you would have like the cool like interactions of I forget which Earth the MCU is set in number wise, but you have
616.
Is it 616 though?
Isn't it? No,
I don't know.
You mean our Earth, not their Earth? Their main one is 616. You're saying like 001 would be sad reality where none of them exist.
Oh,
this one. Well, you know, it's this one where you got a grown ass man crying every time he sees Captain America holding Mjolnir.
Yeah, that's right here.
If I want to have a moment, all I got to do is cue up that scene. I know the exact moment on my digital copy, and all you do is you hear, when I cue it up, suddenly you just hear dun dun, and you see Mjolnir start to rise.
Yep.
And then da da da, and holy moly.
Yeah, dude.
Shaka and the walls fell.
Life is great, so do your part to stay in it as long as possible, folks.
Amen to that, sir. That's a positive message. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to, and I'm looking forward to that. You know what I'm also looking forward to that I haven't even gotten into, and it's a goddamn shame because one of my favorite TV shows was AP Bio, and they've got like, I think they've got a season on Peacock, and they're shooting the next one already.
Yeah,
so
right now they're shooting it as we speak.
Yeah, see, I gotta get with that, if you will.
Yeah. And now that the WWE is letting fans attend live, I can start watching again. Get behind the Peacock.
Could you not? Could you not take whatever they were pumping out with nobody?
Could not do it. It was when it was the moment when I couldn't hear what the announcers were saying because of the fake crowd noise that I just turned it off and haven't touched it since. And that was like pre-Christmas.
Makes sense. I'm with you. I understand. Yeah. You know, but again, the weird thing about this entire pandemic experience is the compromises in quality people are willing to make. I mean, you know, like any one of the late night talk shows, you know, you're talking sometimes at best to the guy who just got revealed as the new Captain America, and he's wearing a pair of shitty white headphones, and that's what you're getting, which basically means, by the way, for at least 85% of these type of situations I've seen, Trent, we are just as qualified to be on network TV now.
Oh, dude. Tell me about it. if not overqualified. The amount of like money we've put into the production for various projects, overqualified at times. And it's interesting because as using WWE as an example, most profitable year ever.
Because everybody's at home. They found ways to make it work.
And their production costs have gone down so much. They're not traveling for shows or anything like that. It's all based in one place. Like, not to mention their sell of their all their network and unloading all the employees that were running that network to NBC. So yeah, like it is shown that we are so content hungry, we will deal and put up with anything, which is kind of scary, right? Because this could be a trend that we don't come back from for a long time, not unlike the rise of reality television out of the writer's strike.
Funny you mentioned that, because I was just thinking to myself, man, aren't we about due for another writer's strike?
Yeah, so like just vote with your dollars and support the things you like.
Yeah, it's all you can do.
Yeah.
Scary times. I mean, hell, there might be people sitting there watching this live. How sad would that be?
Hey, let's not talk crazy.
Let's not crazy indeed, Trent. Oh my gosh, we were talking about some stuff, and that suddenly it brought me to a point where there was something I wanted to bring up, and of course now I can't remember what it was.
OnlyFans? You want to talk about that?
No, it wasn't that at all.
Fair enough.
It wasn't that at all. Gosh darn it.
That.
Oh well. It was I'm sure it was going to be a very interesting. What the hell were we just talking about? Now I'm living that moment where you're basically trying to remember what the trigger was,
right,
that set you off before, but
so that will jog that memory chain. Yeah,
exactly. But one of the things too that I even for me as somebody that's not a regular watcher, in some of the wrestling broadcasts that I had seen, one of the big distracting things for me was, and I understood the need for having the crowd noise, because in some ways it was covering up a lot of the stuff that was going on exchange wise in the ring.
Totally. Yeah. And there are reels of this on YouTube of the most notorious person for yelling out direction in the ring, the CFO, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque, Triple H. He's like, and so he of all people understands the need to protect the talent in the ring by covering up what they're saying to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Some promotions did it beautifully though, like New Japan Pro Wrestling. Completely silent. In fact, even when they let crowds back in, they were allowed to clap, but they weren't allowed to cheer because of the
mm-hmm.
component of spreading and everything. And
right.
like it just made for like this really intimate, like feeling like you're there experience, like they're wrestling just for you as the viewer. And like that drew me in so much that like when I saw what was being produced elsewhere, I couldn't do it. It hurt. It was awful.
I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I walked out of Revenge of the Nerds too. All I'm saying is that, there are certain points where you're like, this isn't, or no, it was maybe, yeah, no, it was that one. It was that one. Yeah. I'm pinching my arm, Trent, because I didn't want to lose the idea that I remembered.
Smart.
And I think this will be a funny talking point to close on, because, clearly from our vast viewership, I know what draws people in.
Sure.
So one of the perks that I have in my life is that I'm basically like the tech producer and MC / host, whatever, for that Kevin Smith Club's Ask Kevin Anythings.
Yeah.
He's very nice in letting me MC that and be kind of part of the event.
The AKA?
Yeah, the AKAs, which are, they're free. There are two different ones. There's like a one for everyone, and then for the higher tiers, each separate part of the month. But the funny thing was, somebody had asked him in the questions about the Smodcastle, because as you know, the far end of the building, the opposite end of the building from the Quick Stop, has been leased by Smith to establish a Smodcastle again, a small box theater for podcasting out of in Jersey. Right there by the Quick Stop that helped make his career. Very interesting and fitting location. So somebody had asked him about that, and in the banter that happens between segments, as I like to think about it, Smith just flat out said, "Yeah, you're gonna have to bring NetHeads out there and do a show live at the Smodcastle."
Looks like we're going to Leonardo, man.
I don't understand though. I don't. Well, first of all, she's hearing it probably here right now. But that is not first of all, I forgot that moment even happened until we were talking during this. And so, it's funny that I remember now. But can you imagine? It's like I haven't traveled for anything. 408 days. We just established that.
Same. Yeah.
But, suddenly, first of all, we haven't gone on vacation anywhere, and everybody want to go to Jersey? I don't see that happening.
Right? Yeah.
So there's that part, first of all. So you're going out of, and the second part is just going out of town for that. Dude. It seems like a completely alien idea. Not to mention, look, to be honest, I don't want to go to the man's castle and then not draw anyone in.
Dude, I feel you. Yeah, because you're like me, right? Like I would feel obligated to buy all the seats.
No,
myself.
I wouldn't. Well, yeah, only in regards to the fact, okay, we bought all the seats. Now what we do is we just go about and we hand out free tickets to everybody.
Yeah. So the man's not losing money because I'm so grateful that he would even give me the opportunity. It's that motivation driven by guilt, Will.
Well, I fully understand, but I think I like my approach a little bit more, that it's not necessarily about making sure it's sold out. See, my approach was just making sure that there were asses in seats, because if you give somebody a free ticket to something, they might go.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But I completely understand your motivation as well. But anyway, it cracked me up that happened, because I was just like, because it never even entered my mind, not even a moment or a flicker.
Yeah. Did he give a date? Not for the NetHeads one, please, God. I can't. Just okay. All right, fair enough.
I can't say. I don't think I can say. Well, actually, more to the point, when you don't know if you can't say something.
You can't reveal it.
Yeah, so I can't say anything. I don't
know.
I've heard things, but they are in club exclusive content. So that would almost be like violating an NDA.
So
well, hold on though.
Folks, if you want to know, here's where you plug the Kevin Smith Club.
Well, first of all, look, I'm appreciative we're on the network, okay, but I'm not necessarily hardcore trying to shill. Not to mention, I have a slight suspicion that at least 90% of the people that may listen to or watch NetHeads basically, they're already on the platform. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily, but there are perks to being a member of that Kevin Smith Club. You want to find out more at thatkevinsmithclub.com.
There you go.
So please, of course, we have our own Patreon as well, which we produce nothing unique this month. I've had things on my mind. So we do have a Patreon, but again, I'm not here to plug that as well. But I don't know about going out to Jersey, man, to be honest. There is information within the club, and you can hear it there if you wanted to.
All they will is the Newark Airport is the Tri-City area's hidden gem.
That, I believe, is the one. There was one time I went to Jersey. It was back in, I think, 98. And God almighty, no, not 98. It was, it's somewhere in within 98 or 99. Because I went out there, sponsored by Play TV, in order to get footage of Kevin's Diabetes Foundation Dogma screening. So it was a charity screening for Dogma. So I got to go out there to do that in quote unquote preparation for the interview I was getting down south, which somehow miraculously I did manifest, because at the time I pitched the trip, I had no interview.
Right.
So I went out there for that, and I flew into the Newark airport, I believe.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, you can fly in there and get anywhere within the tri-state area quicker than flying to the other airports and dealing with the traffic and everything else.
Yeah, and the other point I wanted to make is I'm not saying all this. I just want to make sure, and you've got to be my barometer here, Trent, because
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm not coming off braggadocious. I'm not trying to, it's like, oh, I work for Kevin. I'm not trying to be that guy.
No.
Okay.
No, in fact, I always try to tease that out of you, and you're always like,
I mean,
I want to hear. Let me live through you.
Live through me. Leave through me. Come in. Leave through me. Okay, good. Well, I'm
that way.
yeah. I took it weird. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. I liked it.
Good for you, man. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. This was the most roller coaster episode of NetHeads I think we've ever. I'm glad we cut the TikTok live off because I think it really brought something.
Yeah.
And also though, that was one hell of a journey. I am really looking forward to it, and I do not say this very often because I don't do this very often. I'm very interested to listen back on tonight's episode.
Okay.
It's just like, wow, that took a quick turn. Wait, where are they going with this now? What?
Oh, okay. Yeah. They got there eventually. Will had to pinch himself, but he got there.
Right. It's just it's quite a journey. And then like the reveal of and by the way, where exactly is this dividing line where I'm like, oh, I heard about it in the club. You just said a few minutes ago something that was said in an AKA.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Oh my gosh. So then was I just making a thing out of a thing to make it sound like I'm a little more, I'm involved in the thing. I mean, is that where we're at now?
I love Carl's Jr.
Fair enough, my friend. Don't forget to check out Devotion Wrestling on. Where
Correct.
can they find that?
Just youtube.com/Devotion Wrestling.
Exactly how I would have pitched it, so it's good to hear.
Yeah.
I got that confirmation. Of course, you can find out everything about us, netheadsonair.com. Thank you very much for tuning in for this just wild. It was a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride episode. And
Right,
I'm
yeah.
here for it. And I look forward next week, hopefully, to talking to you more in depth, much as the rest of the country will have had 3 weeks ago about Captain America.
Yes, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
And the Winter Soldier. Ooh, what? Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. My name is Will.
I'm Trent.
And we will be back
Soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a Smodco Internet production. Sip. Only at smodcast.com. Okay, I got to tell you one little story to get you to another little story. Are you ready to take this really postscript journey with me?
I always.
Okay, so contextually speaking, I was laughing as that outro was played because as many people saw at the beginning of the video, with everything that was going on in my house prior to podcasting, I had neglected to update the title screen. So during the entire entry of this episode, I am now remembering that if I should go back and watch it, you can see me weirdly, frantically, and screwed up try and re-enter the title and description.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't do it, so I just literally put the number. So when I just popped back to that title screen, I had the biggest laugh. And the reason why I forgot to title the episode is because there was so much drama in my house right before this episode. Maybe that's why it's such a massive decompression for me. The long story short is Blair, my youngest, has a tooth, right, that is ready to come out. And now it has not come out for so long that the gum sort of kind of continues growing, and it needs to come out. And she has gone back and forth on wadding it out versus trying to get it out. And it's just been a major thing. Yeah. Which is why I forgot to update the title card. So, honestly speaking, I don't think for recording tonight's episode, I'm going to get the Dad of the Year award. Okay.
Sure. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Honey, deal with our child who is in physical pain. I'm going to go pretend radio for an hour.
First of all, pretend radio. How dare you? And second of all, she's not in pain at all. It's just she wants it out, or we want it out, or both, or neither, depending on the moment.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, definitely not going to win any Dad of the Year awards. But hey, at least I didn't give them something that made their ears stick out, like you mentioned earlier.
Tell me about it.
You know what, man? You're owning it and you're dealing with it, and it's fine. Like right now, you've got the over-ear headphones, and now we understand why.
Always.
And I promise I'll never comment on your ears again.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.